What's up, you guys? This is Devin with CenturyFX Studios, back with another video, and I'm happy to bring you into my headshot series. Now we have the beautiful model, Jenny. She's back there. She's my model. We got John helping us, and we're going to get this video done for you, and we're going to have a whole bunch of different segments, so you can just scroll through on YouTube to find exactly what you want to highlight when it comes to doing headshots. Now, once you start headshots, you need a little bit of material. So right now we're in this unfinished studio. This is Jenny's unfinished studio. But that doesn't matter because whether it's finished or not, it's all about what you set up and what you have at your disposal to do the headshots. For example, she's now on a white pop-up backdrop. You can get it for about 60, 70 bucks. She's sitting on a stool, and we're not taking full body shots, so we don't have to worry about what pants she has on. We have the camera set up on a tripod here. If you have a tripod, you don't have to have a tripod. And we also have, let's see, this constant light going on here. This is the Godox VO200. I know it's a little bit pricey, but you don't necessarily need it. You can do this in natural light. Now, I could have also brought flashes and strobes and things of that nature, but you can do this in natural light. We have plenty of windows around here in this room. I'm not really showing them in the camera angle, but you can use all types of light to do your headshots. Now, we're going to get started and tell you exactly what we have, why we have it, and just get you a general overview of how to do headshots. All right, so right here we have the backdrop. Now, the backdrop itself is about 6 feet in height, but that doesn't necessarily matter. You can have a smaller backdrop. They have smaller circular pop-out backdrops that you can use, but I have it about 3 feet from the subject. I'm going to actually pull it back away from the subject here. All right, looking half decent. And the reason why you want to bring your backdrop away from the subject is to make sure that you don't get a lot of detail from the backdrop, especially when it's a plain white backdrop. You also prevent shadows from coming in the image. Pull it back to get the shadow really away from the image. I may or may not do that for this tutorial, but just to understand exactly how shadows work and to get you a clean look. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, this is our model. All right, the model is dressed in a casual, I want to say, what would you say? Business casual, right? All right, so now you're in a business casual, and this will be catered to whatever you're trying to do and whatever goal you're trying to make out of your images. All right, so she's dressed that way. You want to make sure your hair is half decent. You want to make sure all the grooming is right, makeup is right. We're not going to go into that today, but you just want to keep that in mind, that all that stuff matters when it comes to making a great image out of this. So the next thing I want to explain is the tripod. Now, I have a Manfrotto B-free tripod here. Now, it's a 3-in-1, but you can use whatever tripod you have at your disposal as long as it can hold your camera. All right, so that doesn't necessarily matter as much. Here I have the Canon 5D Mark II. It is a good beginner camera. It has a CF card in there that might be a little bit of a hindrance, but it's definitely a nice camera to use. It also has the Tamron 90mm macro lens. The reason why I like to use this lens is because when I'm doing headshots, I don't want to be fiddling with my focal distance. I want to stay at one constant focal distance. Also, the focal distance of this lens matters because you want to be able to zoom in, get the proper proportions of the model, the person that's actually being photographed, so they don't look wide, they don't look pudgy, they don't look like an alien. You want to make sure that they have some good proportions. So that means back up and zoom in to whatever you want to photograph as far as a headshot is concerned. All right, so that's pretty much it as far as the general gist of everything. We're going to take a couple of shots of Jenny and show you exactly what they look like. All right, so now I know that my backdrop is looking really good. It softened the shadow because the actual background is far enough away from Jenny. All right. Let's see here. All right, so the height of the camera, I pretty much have it a little bit above her eyes because it's better to shoot above and point your camera down than to shoot under and shoot up. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do and what not to do, but for the standard portrait type of traditional look that we want, this is the type of angle that you're going to have on your camera. Now, you can move your camera up or down, but you really want to have the eyes somewhere around that rule of thirds. So I'm taking a test shot just to see what my exposure is, and I'm going to tell you my exposure. So now I have my exposure. Now mind you, this is my main light. There's a couple of other light sources coming in here, but I've custom white balanced everything. Now you have to understand what custom white balance is, and I'm not going to get into that in this video, but I know that none of the color shifts in this room are going to affect Jenny's face. I also know that this is our main light, and it's actually on key right, the right side of our camera. So most of my images are actually going to be catered to this light here. So Jenny, just turn your body towards the light just a little bit. All right, it's a little bit of hair on your neck right here. Make sure it's separated, from your, exactly. All right, now I'm gonna tell you about my settings. My settings are, let's see here. I put it at 2.8 because I wanna blur the background a little bit, get a little bit of separation, and then I have it at ISO 320, and then my shutter speed is about 1/100th of a second. Now, shutter speed, you don't want any shaky images or anything like that. You want to keep everything the way you need to keep it. So let's take a test shot here of Jenny. All right, and review that. It's looking great, it's looking great. All right, so what Jenny can do is turn her body on the stool. The reason why the stool doesn't have a back on is because we don't want that in the image, of course. So now she wants to sit up nice and straight. All right, sitting up nice and straight, you know, people tend to slouch a little bit when they're relaxing, so you want to make sure your model is sitting up nice and straight. You also want to make sure she's turned. You don't want a mug shot, so you don't want anything straight onto the camera. So the first thing is really turning them, making sure they're groomed well, making sure the hair is in a nice spot, making sure the jewelry is in a nice spot, and you want to turn them, not a lot, but just enough so maybe the back ear is out of the frame. Now, she has her hair covering her ear, but I kind of know where the ear would fall in this situation. So then you just make sure that her head and her body are nice and kempt and groomed, and then you want to make sure that you turn her away from the camera or turn her so that she looks three-dimensional to the camera. See, the difference between men and women, men can be a little bit more straight onto the camera. Women can too. I'm not here to tell you you can't do this or that and the other when it comes to creativity. But for typical traditional headshots, you want to turn the person as much as possible. And like I said, they can choose whatever image they want to, I guess, at the end of the day. But typically, people like to be turned, especially when it comes to females, because they're a little bit more three-dimensional than males are, typically. All right. So to show this off, we're going to turn her body towards the light. And give me a nice smile on 1, 2, 3. Awesome. All right, so that came out good. Next thing you want to do, we're going to turn her body away from the light. So turn, right there. And you're going to turn your head back this way. Like I told you guys, the light we're using is the Godox VL200. It's being bounced off the ceiling to get us nice, soft light. Now, we can use modifiers and flashes and things of that nature, but I wanted to keep it simple. Yes, this is a little pricey of a light, but you can do this in natural light as long as you expose correctly. And you want to have relatively soft light. You don't want to have hard light, something that's not modified. For example, a SpeedLight, and then you don't put anything on it to make it soft. You really want to have something soft to flatter your subject. All right. And then slightly turn a little bit more right there. You just want to bring it back just a little bit, right there. All right, and you just want to break the center line. Turn it just a little bit, right there, and you keep it right there. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Now, as far as what's in the shot, you want to have head and shoulders, essentially. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you really compose it well. So in post, if you need to come back a little bit, then you can do that. Now, I'm not worried about my focal distance because this is a 90mm prime lens. This prime lens keeps me at the same focal distance the whole time, so I don't have to worry about distorting the person or anything like that. Like I said before, making them look like an alien. So we're going to finish up here. Turn your head just a little bit for me, right there. And then cut your eyes back to the camera, but just turn your head just a little, right there. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now we can do more with the actual pose, and we can go horizontal, but that's pretty much it for this video, giving you a general gist of everything that we're doing here. We're just pretty much running through just a basic setup, the most basic setup you can possibly come through. A pop-up backdrop, a camera, a light bouncing off the ceiling, but you can use natural light. And that's pretty much it. Knowing how to pose, grooming, all this stuff is important. And like I said, we're not gonna go into detail, but let me know in the comments below if this helped you out. Affiliate links below in the description. Also my Patreon, you can go subscribe to all that stuff. Help support the channel so we can make more videos like this. I'm Devin with CenturyFX Studios. This is Jenny. And stay tuned for the next video.